Mhm. Hello, friends. Welcome to my channel. Today we have a special guest, Ilya. Hello, Ilya.
Hello, Anna. Very nice to be here.
Thank you for coming for today's interview. And guys, today topic will be for us is types of Russian visa for foreigners, and you asked me a lot about getting Russian visas. And today we will do focus not for travel visa. I've already done a lot of videos about it. So, guys, we today do focus about relocation, moving to Russia, and Ilya will present his company and tell us about all types of visa which we have and help you to relocate if you need. So, Ilya, could you please introduce yourself, tell a few words about your company?
Of course. So my name is Ilya Belbrakin. I'm the general managing partner of movetorussia.com. And we are a company that's specialized in helping people both to move to Russia, as in the name, right? And also move their assets as well, and generally assist in the physical relocation. We are been functioning for over 2 years now, and mostly focused on helping people that move to Russia through so-called golden visa that has been recently introduced, and now also the new so-called shared values visa program. This is our two primary objectives. Also, we help our clients establish business in Russia, incorporate their companies, buy assets, and, well, if they want to buy real estate and other things as well. So in generally, we have clients all over the world, and we see more and more people see Russia as a great place to be for the turbulent times ahead.
Oh, so interesting. Yeah, I did know that you also help with business, right? If someone is going to open business, your company also help. Or do you mean that you help with documents?
Well, in generally, I mean, we even, but this is really complicated cases, but we can even help buy up a company down the line. Our very much focus is essentially being more B2B focused, right? And then our B2B clients has said, well, listen, for me privately, could you help with the golden visas? And kind of want to invest in Russia and also get a permanent residency in Russia. And then as we kind of moved from the very kind of high net worth individual clients down the line, when the shared values visa opened up, we said, okay, we'll probably help with those things as well. Because not a lot of people have $200,000, $300,000 right away just to invest, right? But this shared values visa opportunity opened up essentially for, we joke around 1.2 billion people to move to Russia, because that's how many people are actually eligible right now.
Cool. Okay, so Ilya, let's see our plan for today and show to our viewers. So, guys, we are going to talk today about types of Russian visa. Yes, Ilya, you will tell us, and then Ilya, I will ask you to tell pros and cons of each visa, like about golden visa. Yes, and then our viewers can decide in the end of this podcast. They can decide what kind of visa they can get, which kind of visa will be comfortable or not. Then how to obtain visa. Also, if you can tell please a few words about buying property. And the last one, we will guys speak about setting a bank account, opening SIM card, and also Ilya will tell us a few words, yes, about money transactions.
Yes, that sounds like a great plan. And thank you,
Yes, so
Anna, for
yeah,
outlining the
types of
agenda.
visa.
Okay, so first and foremost, I think what to understand about Russia and kind of how to be here is there is, of course, the different tourist opportunities, which you, I think, touched upon in different video. We're not going to talk about that. We want to talk about essentially the right to live in Russia. And there's the kind of 3 steps there. One can only visit as a tourist, right? or one can get something that's called a temporary residence permit. After the temporary residence permit, one can get a permanent residence permit. And then after the permanent residence permit, you can get a citizenship. Now, temporary residence permit is usually granted for 3 years, and you have the right to live and work only in one region and one region only.
One region, so person can't move, like person live only in Moscow or Nizhny Novgorod, so he can't move to different cities?
Well, I mean, I would say theoretically it's possible. In practice, it's a bit cumbersome. So there's one region have to hand over that person to another region. So usually it is a bit of a tricky thing. So you probably want to go for the region you want to stay in originally. Most people prefer to move to the Moscow region. It's Moscow, probably many people know it, but kind of some facts. It's the biggest city, metropolitan area in Europe. It's almost 20 million people, right? And most of the opportunities to integrate, to find work for persons from a foreign country, especially with a kind of Western background, is in Moscow. You will not find a lot of those opportunities somewhere in the middle of Siberia, right? And also for learning the language and everything. So I think it's a very smart way of first going for the Moscow region, getting a temporary residence permit in the Moscow region. Then already after 12 months, you can actually apply for the permanent residency, even kind of faster.
After 12 months.
Yeah, well, I mean, almost after a year. The main thing is that then you need to pass the Russian language test. So you need to study.
After, do you speak about temporary residence? Yes.
So, okay, usual way to get a temporary residence in Russia, you had to pass the Russian language test regardless, even to get a temporary residence. And also, there's something that is called a quota that you also had to apply for. That is very limited. Last year was only 10,000 people, so it's always over in a couple of months. But the opportunities, and we will talk about it soon, about the shared values visa, is essentially you, as part of any country that is on the Russian non-friendly country list, you have the option right now to get a temporary residence permit in Russia without passing the Russian language test and without applying for the quota. This is why we tell that anybody of 1.2 billion people that live right now in a non-friendly countries to Russia can apply. And
am I understand correct? This is only one visa which you can get without passing Russian language exam, because if you speak about golden visa or other kind of visas, yes, you will need to pass exam.
You need to pass exams. There's other exceptions. For example, if you are a highly qualified specialist for certain industries, you can be exempt from the Russian language test as well. But that's a completely different kind of topic in that sense, right? And you have to kind of prove your worth and kind of prove your specialty. And because the shared values visa program is now available, it kind of becomes an option you don't want to use. It's just much easier to go with the shared values visa program, where you don't need to prove that you are some kind of very special qualified engineer in a certain obscure area that Russia needs.
Okay.
But so the way then to go forward is that first you kind of get the temporary residence permit, and you can see it almost like a tryout Russia, right? You get your 3 years, stay in Russia, you come here, you check it out, you live here, you see if you like it. If you like it, you pass the Russian language test exam, get your permanent residency, and then after 5 years, you can have the option, but not the obligation, to apply for the citizenship. And the Russian.
So you have to live 5 years for getting citizenship.
Yeah, before you can apply. Yes, that's the general rule. Of course, I mean, Russian citizenship could be granted by a special decree from the president of the Russian Federation, but you have to be you have to do something special to receive that.
Oh, so interesting. I thought it's really complicated. So, and it's not necessary for person. But at least he will need to pass exam, right? So,
Yeah, of
so he
course.
will live 3 years. After 3 years, pass exam. Then again to live 2 years, and after this, he can get
No.
citizenship.
So the way it works is that temporary residence permit up to 3 years. Within those 3 years, you need to apply for the permanent residency, right? When you get the permanent residency, there is another 5 years. So you have to hold the permanent residency for 5 years before you can apply for the actual citizenship. There is certain exceptions. If you're, for example, married to a Russian citizen, you can do it as quickly as within 3 years, but we are not talking about those things. Just usually think about it as 5 years. And you don't need to apply for the citizenship. I mean, permanent residency is, as it sounds, it's a permanent residency in Russia. There is no kind of forced obligation to apply for the citizenship. As a resident, you are in your kind of rights and obligations exactly the same way as a citizen. The only three things you can't do is that you can't vote in elections, you can't hold a government office, and you can't be drafted into the army. Plus, actually, you can't, there's another small thing, you can't own property in certain border areas in Russia. So there are certain areas in Russia close to the border where only citizens can buy property due to security reasons.
Okay.
But they're like on the borders, right? So
if you're not in the borders, you can buy.
of
What
course.
if person, for let's say, can't pass exam? So let's say person came to Russia because of like traditional value, and then because it's hard to learn Russian language. Yeah, I am like a teacher can say. And what if after 3 years, person can't pass exam? What will be? He should come back to his country.
So the short answer is yes. And the way we see it is that essentially you can try to start trying to pass the exam already after 1 year, and you can try as many times as you want. So there's not only one try, you can do it over and over and over how many times you like until you pass.
No, I want also to ask, is it, let's say, what if person doesn't want to learn language? Is it possible to live here without language, or everyone must learn?
Only if you're over a certain age. So for example, you don't need to pass the exam. First and foremost, if you're underage, if you're not adult, you're not required. So any children up to 18 years old don't need to pass that exam. They will get the permanent residency, I mean, together with their parents or kind of guardians, right? If you are a male over 65 or female over 63 years old, so kind of in a pension age, you don't need to pass the exam either. So you can get a permanent residency directly. But then, so the answer is, if you're old enough, you don't have to.
So, and or you marry with Russian citizen.
Well, yeah, that's another, but we are talking about general things, right?
So, and other things, everyone must learn Russian.
Well, I think that from the point of just being part of the society and being integrated and kind of, I think it's very hard to live in a country not know the language. That's a very
it's correct. Correct.
That's a very dull way of spending your life, I think, generally. So I guess that's why this kind of shared values visa program has been done in this way. So there's a 3 years temporary residence opportunity. You come to Russia and you have a perfect opportunity to learn the language, to integrate in a society, to see if you like it or not. If you don't like it, don't pass the test and kind of travel back and say, well, it's nothing for me. If you like it, then study up. And as far as we see it, everybody that applies themselves and kind of spends about 1 year learning the language, they can pass the test. This is not rocket science in that sense. And yeah.
And so do your clients pass everyone who pass exam? Yes, for whom you provide visas, help, they pass exams and stay in Russia, right? No problems.
With tutoring, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in general, and this is kind of back to what you do, we find that a lot of people, especially adults, they prefer to have, I mean, a lot of people, adults, that busy people that have other things, they work. For the best results, I think is, of course, there's lots of kind of free options, there's digital options. I
Mm-hmm.
think the best results are private tutorage online. So they have to find somebody like you and to
Yeah,
have
if
special
someone
courses.
wants.
Yeah, yeah, and kind of get them up to speed
Mm-hmm.
and do it day in, day out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after a certain period of time, as anything, as any training, you'll get better and you'll pass it. But well, nobody can run 100 meters or 300 yards in 10 second slats without training. So it's just every day applying yourself and having a tutor that does it with you. I think is very important.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so and this is visa number one. Yes, as we discussed,
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
temporary residence because of traditional value for not friendly countries. Yes.
yes, yes.
And I just want to finalize so the people how it works, like if someone watching us, they can just go to your website, yes, contact, and guys, also in the description of the video you will see the link, yes, how you can contact guys, and then you help them, so you provide full support, and
Yeah.
they will need, if I understand, they will need to get travel visa. They come to Russia, then you from Russia you will get them this visa which we call temporary residence, yes, and then they stay
Let me
here
tell,
2 years.
let me tell you a bit how it works with the shared values visa. So this is a new program, and it's been launched in August last year. In total, I think there's about so far 1,000, almost 200 applicants. So in less than 6 months, and it's going. The trend is going like that. It's going up.
Mm-hmm.
We have helped a significant number of those people. What we see is that first and foremost, what one need to understand is that the Russian migration authorities are extremely rigid in their way, so they need to have everything completely by the book, and
Mm-hmm.
no small kind of, I would say, letter have to be wrong in one way or another. So the biggest thing that we usually see is that people that attempt to do it on their own and do the documents on their own, and they come to us and say, we have everything done already. And we
Mm-hmm.
check their documents and we see actually your documents are with errors. This is not how actually the migration authorities require them. You need to redo everything and do it from the start. And the worst, of course, scenario is that if people travel all the way from abroad, let's say they travel from afar, we have clients from Australia, we have clients from US, right? So they wasted the whole trip. They come to Russia and they understand that there is something that is not quite ready for the whole thing. And they wasted, let's say there's a whole family, they suddenly wasted $5,000, $7,000 just for the whole thing with zero results, right? This is
Why zero results?
because the documents were not completely prepared in that sense. They didn't
Mm.
understand all the procedures right. And also, right now, since it's a new program, a lot of it still runs in Russian. I mean, it's a kind of funny thing, right? You don't need Russian to apply, essentially, but the whole thing is still in Russian. So
Mm.
this is why our company exists. We take essentially contact with the client already at the idea stage. So even before they do anything, we know exactly what kind of documents they need from each and every country. We know where to get them. We know how to get them efficiently and quickly. We know the different providers how to do it, right? And then we guide people all the way through. Then in Russia, we kind of take care of everything. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
have clients that never been to Russia, right? They land in the airport, they have zero idea what the hell is going on. and their cards don't work, right? Because
Mhm.
no Western cards work in Russia.
Yeah.
You are completely left to your own devices. So it's a very complicated process, but all they need to do is just kind of hang on with us, and we just take them by the hand and go through the whole process. Our success rate is so far 100%. So all the cases that we do have been passed through, and this is due to very rigorous preparation even before the travel. So I think the bottom line is the journey starts from the idea, and the minute you have the idea of actually relocating, you should reach out to us and talk about it, because there's a lot of devils, or the devil is in the details, right? And
Mhm.
most important thing, you don't want to waste time and waste money and thinking this is a light-hearted operation. It's not, unfortunately.
Yeah, a question, how long does it take all this process, like from the first call, let's say person call you and say, guys, help me, I want to get this visa, and then when how long does it take when he will prepare documents and you will get.
A lot of it, so usually we say on average, it takes, if you decide tomorrow I want to go, it takes about 2 to 3 months before you can be in Russia to apply. In Russia, on the ground, it very much depends on what region you apply with.
Mm-hmm.
So in Moscow, you can do a turnaround in 2 weeks. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say if you want to go for some obscure region that doesn't handle a lot of those migration kind of requests, it could take months, or, well, we usually don't recommend it because there's regions out there that just don't have the experience. And it could be very much a big bureaucratic thing. Yeah. And this is just kind of, it's a new program. They don't know how to run it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But 2, 3 months preparation of the documents, and then 2 weeks on the ground in Moscow, and then the application is submitted.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, there's a 4 months waiting time. On average, 4 months. It could be longer, it could be
Mm-hmm.
shorter. We don't know, because essentially what's going on in the background is the security service are going through your profile and checking out that everything checks out, that you haven't omitted any information, that you have actually told about all the citizenships and all the permanent residencies that you had and everything else. If something doesn't check out and you have provided wrong information, you can be denied on the application, right? Or it could
Mm-hmm.
take longer to actually clear you through. But on average, 4 months. And during those 4 months, you can either come back and go back to your country, kind of gather up the things. Usually people take that time to, for example, sell their house or prepare for the move and everything else, right? Or you
So
can
means
stay in
person
Russia.
can come, give you all documents, the process will start it, and then person can no, do whenever whatever he wants, or he can wait in Russia, or he can come back to his house or home, and as you said, to sell something, and
Yeah.
then he will come back. So no, not necessary to stay in Russia and wait.
No, it's an option, but it's not an obligation to do it.
But but as I know, when this person gets this visa, he can't move. He must stay here 6 months. Yeah. Or
So
how?
when you're granted this temporary residence permit, right,
Mhm.
you need to come back to Russia to pick it up. So you can't pick it up at the embassy, let's say in New York, or at the Russian embassy in London. You have to again travel back to Russia to pick it up.
Mhm.
And for that as well, you need an entry visa, valid entry visa, whatever it could be, right? Could be a tourist visa, could be a business visa, could be a student visa. Any visa will go, but you need an entry visa. When you get your temporary residence permit, the general rule is that you need to stay in Russia for more than 6 months per year during your
Mhm.
residence. So you need to become a tax resident in Russia. There are exceptions to the rule. You can be exempt from that timeline due to work, health, or family reasons. So, for example, if your, I don't know, relatives are sick or something like that, or you need to get healthcare outside of Russia, or due to work reasons, you have to be outside of Russia for extended stay, you can file for that exception with the migration authorities.
So it's possible. Yeah.
It's possible,
Mhm.
and Usually those exceptions are granted if they are done proactively. But if they are done reactively, so if you're after the fact says, well, listen, I'm sorry, but I've been in Russia for less than only 1 day, there's a high probability your temporary residence permit or residence permit will be removed. And this is kind of the general rule, is that as long as you're proactive in your communication and you tell upfront what's going on, there's usually a way to solve it. If you kind of don't care and don't inform in time, there is no kind of, hey, we will forgive you if you're a bit late. Usually there's like, sorry, no. And we, of course, communicate with our clients about those requirements and help them file for the exceptions in a proactive manner, because we, of course, don't want our clients to be for their residence permits to be revoked. That would be a very bad thing to be kind of subjected to. But in general, yes, 6 months per year you have to be in Russia. It doesn't have to be consecutive. You can travel in and out as much as you like, but over the period of 1 year, yes.
And Ilya, second visa, golden visa, also
Yeah.
possible. Could you tell, please, more about this one? Maybe for someone, golden visa will be
I think
better.
the golden visa is a very interesting product. It's unique in the kind of in the world in many ways. The reason for it. So in general, what is a golden visa? Golden visa, it's something that people in the industry call that you pay money, you invest something, or you buy something in a country, and you get a permanent residency in that country. And permanent residency means exactly what it is. It's your permanent residence. As we talked about, usually the steps are, first you get a temporary residence, then you get a permanent residence, right? Here, the golden visa grants you the kind of jump directly to a permanent resident. So you will skip in the temporary and go directly for the permanent. So you kind of skip in one step.
Cool. So without temporary.
Yeah, you go directly for the permanent residency. Now, what is very interesting about it is not only you are granted the permanent resident, but all your family as well. So kind of 5 generations of your family are also granted permanent residency. So, for example, if there is kind of the elderly grandmother or grandfather that gets that application right in as a primary investor, then their adult kids and their spouses, their children and their everybody in the family are automatically also can apply for the permanent residency after the primary applicant gets approved. And this is very advantageous, so you can have a big family altogether kind of on one investment, having the opportunity to move to Russia directly with a permanent residency, right? In that way, that program is unique in the world. Other programs don't grant that. Usually it's only like kind of husband, wife, and the kids, right? Here you can kind of have your whole family with you. And some of our clients differently discovered that. So, and they kind of usually say, well, I will not apply myself. I will have my mother apply, because then my siblings will also be eligible, and then my cousins and everybody else, which is as it is.
And what kind of investment should be? Is there some minimum, like, so you need to invest from this amount?
So there are 4 different types of investments there that you can do. There is social project investment, and you can say it's a donation. There is real estate investment. It's running your own business, so starting your own business. And the last one, investing in a Russian company. Now, let me talk through the first kind of 2 that are not used as often, and then the last 2 that are used quite often. So the social project is essentially a donation equivalent to 15 million rubles. That is about $180,000 right now, right?
$180,000.
Yeah.
Oh, not much. Okay.
But you're not going to get that money back. So it's a donation, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
donate to a social project. Let's say it's to renovate a school in a region, or to kind of build out a sport facility or anything like that. So you're kind of giving the money to a region, and then based on that, you'll get the status as eligible for the golden visa, and then you can kind of go on with that. So that's one track. The other one is running your own business. This is if you start a company in Russia and that company during 2 years' time presents certain profits to the Russian kind of authorities and pay certain social kind of contributions, you can also apply for the golden visa down the line. This is a different beast, and we don't recommend it for anybody who is not actually a real business person, because you can't do it without business acumen.
Mm-hmm.
The last two that I used a lot is, of course, the real estate investment. So you buy a property in Russia, and it depends on what kind of region you can buy it in. So the kind of cheapest value is in the Far East regions. So think Vladivostok, right? Think kind of Khabarovsk, think of the Far East regions. And there, the tax value has to be 20 million rubles. Now, actually, the
Minimum
market,
20 million rubles.
20 million rubles
So
tax
no, it
value.
means that it's not necessary to buy, like let's say in Moscow. So for example, someone can buy apartment in Vladivostok or
That's,
Kamchatka, and minimum should cost 20 million rubles, and he will get
that's tax
golden visa.
value. That's tax value, which is important. I think you probably know that in the Russian market, the market value is usually higher than the tax value of the property. So the market value could be 20, 30%, sometimes 50% higher than the tax value. It all depends on, right? So, and it all depends on the market. So it has to be a new built property, not older than 2 years. And you have to buy it without any debt. So you can't have a mortgage on it. You have to kind of pay cash for it.
Yes. So foreigners can't take mortgage, so they must pay
So now
full amount.
foreigners can take mortgage in Russia, but if
More?
you're well, there are banks that provide it. I mean, the interest rates are not the greatest, and nobody would probably do it. But there are products like that. But if you want to be eligible for this program, you can't have a mortgage on that property,
No,
right?
and it will be golden visa.
Yeah, if you want to go for the golden visa, the property have to be
Because
owned mortgage free.
I thought that he can't take mortgage, but you said that can, yeah?
I mean, if you just want to have a property in Russia, you can, of course, finance it with a mortgage, even as a foreigner, right? There are banks out there, as long as you can prove income, they can probably structure a product for you, right? But I think not a lot of foreigners want to do it because the interest rates in Russia right now are quite high. The central bank interest rate is on 21%, right? So your mortgage are going to be extremely expensive.
Okay.
And I don't know any kind of our clients that want to have a mortgage on 25% level. That's extreme, right? I don't know if you kind of seen the news. There's a boom in the premium properties in Moscow. And what's a premium property in Moscow? I mean, the average price per square meter could be up to $10,000, 1 million ruble. And those properties are getting bought up by cash. So we have a lot of capital coming back to Russia and buying up properties outright cash-wise. There's nobody that actually borrowing money to buy that property. People are just paying cash. And this is just the reality of things.
So do you mean that foreigner can take a mortgage or loan,
Yeah.
but it's not good? No, okay, let's say okay, the percent is high, 21%, but let's say, for example, person doesn't have so much cash and he wants to take a mortgage, and if foreigner, let's say, contact you and say, I want to buy property Russian and take a mortgage, in this way, will he get the golden visa
No,
or not?
no, he will not.
No. So he can
Because
buy property, but
yeah,
for getting visa, you must pay full amount.
yes, it has to be mortgage free. It should be no liabilities on the properties that you own.
And Ilya,
Yeah.
as I know that this is cons of this visa, that you must pass a Russian language exam.
Yes, that's one of the things right now. So I can tell you right now that most of our clients actually that right now go for it are over 65 years old. So we
Okay.
have quite a
Yes.
people that are elderly people that have funds to invest, and we tell them, listen, you're over 65, you're exempt from the Russian language test, so just go for it. And then they say, great, I will go for it, and then I will do it, right? There's also people, of course, that are learning the Russian language and actually doing it as well, especially because if you go for the real estate option, you need to actually own the property for 1 year before you can apply. So they buy the property in Russia, and during that time, let's say they take up Russian courses, let's say with you, right? And they kind of train us up to pass the Russian language test. That's also an option, right?
Yeah.
That means that the total time to get the golden visa with the real estate is about 18 months, because there is at least 2-3 months process to get the property bought. A big thing of that is both, of course, need to be, scouted. The transaction have to be cleared, but one of the longest thing that it takes is actually setting up the financial infrastructure to transfer the money to Russia. That's one of actually the hardest part of the whole thing, is just getting the funds into Russia, getting it without utilizing gray areas such as crypto, because there's no way you can legally transfer crypto to Russia, but at the same time kind of complying to all the international regulations and still getting the funds in the name of the client, right? That thing is actually quite complicated, and we do it every day. But it's an interesting environment. You can say that.
So you also can help people with money transaction.
That's natural, because
For their
otherwise we'll
country.
never be able to do the golden visa. Because there is no way. You can say, hey, well, dear client, first you can get the money into Russia, and then we can help you. No, we take our kind of client all the way from the idea point of view. So let's say you have money to invest, and they sit in a bank in Bank of America or Citibank. Well, that's what we essentially start with. And then it's our job to make sure that actually that funds get transferred all the way to your personal bank account in Russia with everything set up, right? And then you can buy the property with those funds that they've been scouted out before, and you've seen this property. Then you have to hold on to that property for 1 year. And then after 1 year, if you are over 65, you don't need to clear the Russian language test. If you're under 65, you need to clear the Russian language test. Then, when you have the test, you can apply for the permanent residency permit based on your, I would say, golden visa investor status. That will also help you achieve. But the whole thing with the property, it takes at least 18 months. There is a faster way to do it right now, and this is the last option, which is invest in a Russian company.
So investing to the Russian company, it's faster than to buy Russian property.
Yes. And the way it functions right now is that there is another way to kind of go for the golden visa if you buy equivalent of 30 million rubles in a Russian company. And 30 million rubles, well, that's about $380,000 right now, right? The fun thing is, yeah, the interesting right now, it's not specified whatever, it has to be a private or public company. So we have as well established the opportunity for the people to invest in public companies in Russia. So for example, let's say you are investing 30 million rubles in Sberbank, right? And then you hold on to those investments during the application period, let's say 6 months, right? And then after 6 months, you already have your investment that you can sell those stocks and then use it to buy a real estate if you want to, or whatever you want, really. Or keep them invested in the market, which is great as well. But you will have your permanent residency already in 6 months' time, really.
So if someone invests money to the Russian company, how he can get some kind of benefits? It will be like stock market, what? No, like let's say someone invests 30 million rubles, like $300,000. Yes, it's 300, how many?
380 roughly, according to the actual.
300, no, let's say $380,000. No, it's, yeah. And so what kind of benefits person can get? Or he just invests and that's it?
Well, I mean, if you buy a stock on the public
It
market,
will be
right?
stock market.
Yeah, so this is
Okay.
it's any kind of investment, right? You are subject to the moves of the market, right? So it can go up, it can go down. You can get dividends from it. The main thing is we usually recommend our clients to go for, it depends on your risk profile, right? I mean, we have people that want to say, hey, I want to buy high-tech company in Russia. What's the equivalent? And we say, well, I mean, you can always buy shares in Yandex, right? That's a high volatility stock that is high tech, that you'll be subject to the kind of the same exposure as Google, right? Or we have other clients that say, hey, I know I have to invest in a company, but I don't want any volatility. I just want my money to be safe. And we say, well, listen, I mean, the Moscow energy kind of energy company that is responsible for the utilities of the Moscow region, that sounds like a great idea because essentially it's a bond. It's a bond, it almost never moves on the market because it's so stable, right? So we just kind of provide the option. We're not investment advisors. We just say, hey, this is the biggest stocks on the market, pick one, and kind of hopefully you'll be a good investment.
So you will also help people to choose correct investments.
We're not investment advisors, no, but we can say which ones of the companies are, I would say, high volatility versus low volatility, so low beta, high beta. And also, I mean, they will be a client with a Russian brokerage because that's the only way you can invest in a company through account at the Russian brokerage, which will also help facilitate a setup, and then they can always seek investment advice from that broker as well. The main thing is that, let's say, kind of a practical example, people that have gone with that opportunity back in November, I can tell you they are laughing all the way to the bank because first and foremost, they converted their dollars to rubles. They are up like 38% right now in rubles versus dollars. And plus they made pretty good investment in the Russian market. So they are like up 45% over half a year. So they are like, they love us, absolutely love us. But of course, the market is the market, right? So we don't promise you any returns. We just say that, listen, there's another way to do it, which is going through that kind of investments, which is an interesting opportunity right now. So far, the regulations have not been optimized. I think originally they only thought about this from the point of the private companies, private equity, right? But for now, as the opportunity to invest in a public company exists, we very much recommend to go ahead with that opportunity as it is open for now. It might not be open in half a year or 1 year from now. We'll see. But so far, a lot of people utilize it because only 6 months and you get your golden visa for you and your family down the line. Another thing that I want to mention is that there is a work in the background which we are talking with the regulators to remove or postpone the need for the Russian language test for the golden visa investors. Now, we can't promise if that's going to happen or not, but we are hopeful it's going to be realized within a year. We'll see. So
do you mean that in future the rules can be changed? Yes, and probably will not be so necessary to pass exam for golden visa.
Yeah, and we are very much we are showing the regulators in Russia, comparing the Russian golden visa program to the other international golden visa programs because it's a global competition. And one thing that is very advantageous about the Russian Golden Visa is the 5-generation kind of option. No other country has that. So essentially, you can move your whole family, especially if you have your, as a primary investor, maybe not have yourself, but your elderly mother or father. So you can actually have your adult siblings and then the children and everybody with them. Also, by the way, not only the family, of course, but all the spouses are included as well. So it's kind of like catch all for everybody.
So all family members should pass exam.
Well,
Or
I mean,
only investor. So let's say I am mother. So like let's say father buy property or invest and bring all family, and all family members need to pass exam. Like his wife.
As it looks right now, as the program is right now, all the people that are between 18 and 65 male and 18 and 63 female, to get the permanent residency, have to pass the Russian language exam.
Everyone, okay.
Yeah. If you are under 18 or over 65 or over 63, as a female, you need to. So you'll still need to do that. But you'll kind of have this as an option. You'll know that if you pass it, you get the permanent residency directly, right? You don't need to do anything else because your, let's say, father already got the primary investor, right? That's why. And we hope that requirements will be removed going forward, but we can't guarantee it. So we'll see. A lot of people choose to kind of get it for themselves. So, for example, those elderly clients that we have, right? They are, let's say, 70, right? And they say, hey, I want to actually spend my time in Russia. They get this primary investor and they say, actually, my kids down the line, they might want to move, right? And so I want to prepare this as an option for them. So if they want to move later on, then they know I already have the investor status as a Golden Visa investor, right? And then they can directly go and get the permanent residency. If they pass the Russian language test exam, which you can do in half a year or 1 year preparation, or hopefully that requirement might be removed in the near future. Maybe within
we'll yeah, please keep us, inform us.
Yes, of course.
Change, really interesting.
Of course. Another thing that one have to understand is, of course, if you get the permanent residency in Russia, you're still subject to the requirement of being in Russia for 6 months per year. So that one as well is there. We are also having a bit of discussions about the fact that this is not quite competitive either sometimes, because of course people want to move the Russia all away. But we have clients that want to essentially have a foot in the door and kind of have Russia, go to Russia card, we call it, right? So they want to invest money into Russia and have the opportunity to move to Russia very quickly, but they still have to do business abroad. They still have to wrap up things. They're running their companies. They're having things that they need to do. So they're not quite ready yet to spend 6 months per year in Russia. So we'll see. But both the Shared Values Visa program, it's been only launched in August last year, so it's very new. The Golden Visa, that's been launched in December 2022. That's also very new. And this is the first time in history Russia even has this kind of program. So all those things will, I think, will be better, upgraded, iterated, right? And things will improve slowly but surely. In short, this is a massive opportunity, we believe, and we hope a lot of people will utilize it going forward.
Yeah. So when we see, Ilya, that anyway people should learn Russian, not if they need, no, of course, if they younger than 65, yes, they need to learn. Also, if they get Golden Visa or if they will get permanent residence, they will need to learn the Russian language.
Yeah, and right now, as it looks right now, yes. They need to learn the Russian language to pass the.
And possible for everyone, yes, so everyone can get, but only I think difference is that this visa with traditional value, it works only for not friendly countries. And if someone
Yeah,
wants to come from friendly country, this person can get only golden visa, right?
that's correct. So, for example, let's say that an interesting example. For example, Taiwan, China is
Mm-hmm.
unfriendly, but China is friendly, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of people actually that write to us from Hungary and say, "Hey, we want to move to Russia. We like it here. And can we use the shared values visa?" And we say, "No, unfortunately, you are a friendly country, so only golden visa for you." Right? So we have people that write to us from South Africa, from
Mhm.
Brazil, from all over the places. And then we say, well, guys,
Only golden. But so it means that they must invest. Without
that's,
investments, they can't. Yeah.
well, I mean, the other way, of course, to move to Russia is that if you get employed, right? But we are not
Yes. Yeah. Also,
talking
I wanted to ask about this kind of visa. Do what kind of, if not golden visa investment, if not traditional values, to be employee? Is it possible? Like to
it's of
find a
course
job? Hmm.
it's of course possible. The main problem is, of course, the fact that let's say that Russian companies prefer to hire people that already have a residence and the right to work in Russia. You have to be an extremely valuable, I would say, you have to have some extremely valuable skills for the company to first employ you and then go through all the hoops to get you
Hmm.
migrated to Russia. Usually, historically, that's been something that only done for the, you would say, C-suite. So
Hmm.
CEO, CFO, CTO, you have to be extremely valuable for the company to do it, right? Because that's a lot of, I would say, headache for the company to go through all the requirements to import that kind of
Yes,
special.
because company will need to prepare all documents that this
Yeah,
person can get visa.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of clients that tell us, well, first we want to find a job, and then we want to move to Russia. We tell them, listen, unless you are kind of a quantum physicist or a specialist data scientist that Yandex will kill to have, right? There's probably no chance you're going to get employed first in Russia so you can move. The only way you can actually move is you first
Mhm.
you need to get a residence, a temporary residence or permanent residence, so you have the right to work and live in Russia. Then if you are, for example, a specialist that already has the right to work and live in Russia, you'll be much easier employable because then you're like anyone out there. They don't need to do anything. You're just there on the market. They can employ you right away, right? But yeah,
Yeah, do you help with job finding or not? Or clients should find a job by themselves and contact you only when they find a job, and then you will help with documents? Or you
no,
can also.
I think as I told you, there is. Um, it's extremely hard to find a job unless you have a residence already. So that's what we tell the clients. I mean, they can look for a job, but the minute they reach out to an HR department in Russia and they look at the CV and say, "Oh, do you have a residence?" No? Okay, well, come back to us when you have a residence because they don't want to go through all that trouble getting you
Mhm.
into the country because it's so much of the bureaucratic headache.
Yeah.
Unless you are really one of the kind, right? And
Hmm.
that's what I'm kind of telling you about. If you're like, if they need you as a specialist, as a CEO for some sort of division, yes, they probably will do it, right? But then, I mean, you will not probably, they will be the one doing everything for you. If you're not that kind of specialist, we recommend you first get a residency and then go through the employment. And then when it comes to employment, well, I mean, there is usual kind of job searching opportunities. There's headhunters we can kind of get you in touch with, but we will not help you kind of find employment. That's not our job in that sense. We see
Hmm.
that the market is big enough and deep enough for people to kind of find a job as they see fit.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of people that actually work remotely. We have many people that move to Russia that still kind of even run their companies in the West. So one example, we have a person that moved from Silicon Valley, and they say that we love it because hey, I can go up in the morning in Moscow. They are still asleep in the US. I can go to the gym. I can kind of set up everything that I need, and then kind of when they wake up, I'm ready to go, and I can do my things. I can do my calls and stuff like that. So there are multiple ways of doing things, right?
Mm-hmm. Ilya, could you tell some, no, that maybe your favorite, some more interesting example of your client, how you help them to move to Russia? So, no, from which country this person, our age, and what kind of visa person got, like golden, some.
I think in general we have clients from many different countries, and especially there's a big, of course, opportunity both from US, Canada,
Mm-hmm.
UK, Germany, France, Australia. We would have people reaching out all the way from Japan. That is, Japan is actually an unfriendly country, right? Now we don't have any Japanese clients all the way through, but we had requests from Japan. There is different stories every time. It's always interesting in one sense. Um,
I don't know, maybe
there's
some interesting, I don't know, which we can share with our viewers. Some,
we
I don't
would
know,
we
maybe
would
some, I don't know, some funny or something like,
I would
or
probably direct.
maybe
We have
important. Mhm.
we have a bit of interviews with some of our clients that went public and told about their stories. In general, unless we have specific disclosure from the client, we never tell about the background of their stories, anything
Mhm.
like that, because we believe it's very private and it's up to them. It's kind of what they, uh, well, we are, many of those clients, they prefer to kind of do this um, not publicly, right?
Mhm.
Especially, let's say, when they move their finances or they kind of move their things. A lot of people around them might not agree with their choice so far. They might say, hey, you're potentially crazy to move to Russia, right? And this is why we keep everything very confidential. And
Mhm.
it's up to the client essentially what they want to share or not. In general, I think the story is as the following: they don't recognize themselves anymore in the countries that they live in. They don't see it's work is kind of going in the
No, no,
right
I
direction.
mean, you can don't say the name, just say an example, like someone from Australia or someone from America, maybe, I don't know, faced with some difficulties, or opposite, maybe something was very smooth, they got visa very easy, some, I don't know, successful story, or maybe not successful, how people.
Well, I think that let's kind of I can touch upon one point that is actually going to be a bit of public case right now. We have had an interesting story. There were two British ladies, a mother
Mhm.
and a daughter, and they wanted to relocate from UK for a long time. They didn't find an opportunity first. And then they first, what they did, they sold everything and first moved to actually Minsk, Belarus.
Ah, Minsk. Mhm.
And then as they moved there, they saw this new opportunity with the Russian shared values visa. And those wonderful ladies, somehow, I don't know why, they very much want to move to Yaroslav region and Preslav-Zalesky, I believe, the small kind of cozy town. So they are
Mhm.
looking for a quiet life in the kind of rural environment. They've never been there, but they want to really kind of to go there. And we just facilitated that they applied in the Yaroslav region. I think if you look into the public channel of Irina Volk with the MVD, Ministry of Interior Affairs, the public spokesman. She did a
Mhm.
post on Telegram on the 7th of May with a bit of an interview, right?
Mhm.
Well, we are kind of working in the background to make it happen, right?
Oh,
So
cool.
those kind of special things, and we are not, we generally don't take any credit, right? Our main job is to make sure that the people actually arrive and we get all
Mhm.
the paperwork done and they can do successful, I mean, they can build up their life in Russia, right? So, but we are a company that work in the background to help people do this all the way through. And transfer the finances all the way through, which is very cumbersome in today's environment, and then finally land in Russia and then kind of get a little bit of setup going, right, with the practicalities. After the clients are in Russia, we also can provide a monthly kind of ongoing both legal support and about the practicality support. But it takes a bit of time before you kind of integrate small little things, right? Also, of course, uh, language lessons are very much in demand, and all those kind of practical things of how to get around in a completely new country, which Russia is. It's a very much I mean, Russia is a Western country, right? But at the same time, another case that we had was interesting. It was an American lady, and she was actually moved from America to Mexico. So she was living there for several years down in Mexico, quite fine. I mean, Mexico is a fine country, quite cheap compared to US, right? So you can live quite good as an American if you have a good income. And then she actually wanted to relocate all the way to Russia. And one of the first things that she actually told us, which was quite interesting, I think I can publicly disclose it, this was something, well, was her, well, how do you like Moscow? And she was here actually not at the best weather. So sometimes during winter, right? And we thought, well, maybe she's probably not going to like it because the weather is terrible and kind of it's all very gloomy and no sun.
Yeah, after Mexico, Moscow is very cold.
Yeah, she was here kind of in the coldest time, and she told us something very interesting. I like it a lot. I like the fact that people don't stare at me. I said, well, that's interesting. So, like, what's going on? Well, you see, she said, well, living as a Westerner and kind of as a white lady in Mexico, you still stand out. You don't look like Mexican. You look like a foreigner, right? You don't look like you belong, really. And whatever the kind of Mexicans stared at her or not, she did feel like people were kind of singling her out. But in a metro in Russia or kind of in a street in Moscow, she didn't feel like she was anybody special. She just blended in with the crowd. That was her kind of one of the biggest things that she said, well, I really like it because I can blend in. I feel like I'm part of my own flock, right? Not as I am a foreigner in another country. So that was an interesting comment as
She
well.
didn't like that in Mexico people look at her always.
Yes.
No, because she was blonde, why people looked?
No, I think she looked alike like you, right?
No, because Mexico people has a darker skin, yes, and she was like white skin, and people look at her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last question from our plan is about SIM card, bank account. I wanted to ask any updates. Do you know something? Because last news I heard that it takes around 3 weeks for person like at your company also help if people take full package, open bank account, SIM card. Do you know something? Is it going to be easy or not?
We'll see. I think in general, of course, they do it because they want to keep track of all the SIM cards, right? And I think the two reasons for it. One is, of course, from the point of all the, I would say, fraud that tries to go on. People are calling everybody up and try to defraud the old ladies out of their pensions and stuff like that. That's actually something that's happening right now more and more in Europe as well. So they want to control who is calling them from what number, right? So you can't just buy SIM cards openly, you have to register them. That's the one thing. I think the second thing, while they try to track the SIM cards, is, and this is a bit kind of, I think in general, it also have to do with the mobile connections. And I think actually some drones run with SIM cards. So that's a bit of kind of security reason as well. So in general, you can't buy a SIM card without proper documentation in Russia right now. And to get properly documented, you also need to kind of have your biometrics submitted, and you need to register at Gosluke, and lots of different things. If you're really fast, you might be able to do it in 3 weeks if you actually know exactly what to do and where to go, right? If you
If you
don't,
don't know, it could be
what?
longer.
If you don't, I think we heard of people like kind of going around in circles for months, right? We are a bit different because we have already a special kind of cooperation set up with prominent banks and telecom providers, so we can do the whole thing fast. So this is why we can do everything within kind of a 2 weeks period, right? And that's one of the reasons why we are also in demand. But this is just kind of a general common sense. As any kind of private person, you only do it once. We do it every day, so we have established corporations opportunities with the actual organizations that can help and kind of go in and say, okay, this is our clients, please kind of make sure that we can do. And there's already a set process for it. We will see how the rules change going
Yeah,
forward.
let's see.
But I think as a tourist, right? As a tourist,
Да, as a tourist.
you don't really need that, right? I mean, you can get by with cash, and there is actually foreign SIM cards and eSIMs, so electronic SIMs that work in Russia.
Foreigners, travelers can use electronic SIM, yeah?
Yeah, there's solutions like that. So, I mean, there are people that saying, "Hey, we can't be tourists in Russia." That's not true, really. You can still be tourist, and you can still be connected even with the foreign cards. I mean, Chinese tourists don't have any issues at all with their Chinese SIMs, so they're doing just fine. As long as your roaming allows you to use the Russian kind of space, that's fine. I, for example, have a SIM card from Huawei. It works perfectly as well in Russia, right? So I have free internet and like I don't need to do anything at all. It's a foreign SIM card. It works completely fine. But of course, if you're looking to live in Russia, if you look to go through the process of applying in Russia for the residency, then you do need a SIM card. You need to register at Gosuslugi. You need your Russian bank account and everything else. And that could be quite cumbersome today. If you utilize our services, that could be as easy peasy as well. Lemon
And
squeezy.
if you're a traveler, so you can use electronic, yes, or you can use your
Yeah.
roaming.
Yeah. I mean, you just need to check with your telecom providers that they provide the roaming opportunities, right? So, or enable in one sense or another. Because, of course, the worst.
Because I heard that they stopped to sell SIM cards from airport. They sold it, and I heard that now not possible to buy. I don't know.
Well, I think let's say it like this: there is solutions on the market that we know even big companies do that might not be quite on the level with the common regulations. But the thing is that it's a new thing. Everything is a bit in flux, and unfortunately, it takes a bit longer. Probably, let's say in 1 year's time, there's going to be a good system that will be fast to use, and everybody will be able to do it in like I don't know 5 days, right? So far, the reality on the ground, it can take more than 3 weeks if you do it by yourself, and if you know exactly where to go and how to do it, right? If you don't, it can take a lot longer than that. Or, of course, if you work with companies like us that already have established procedures and have already the partnership in place, we essentially do it much faster. But that's kind of what you pay, what you want us for, to have it as easy as possible all the way through, right? Unless you want to have an adventure by yourself, then it's fine. I mean.
Okay. So Elias, thank you so much for sharing so useful, unique information. And so, guys, if you have questions, you can write in comments, and Ilya will answer, right? And probably we can do some extra video.
We can do a follow-up. I think one thing that I want to mention as a kind of add-on is one of the biggest kind of issues really, besides of course, the general migration procedures that can be quite complicated. There is another thing that one needs to keep in mind is when you actually have everything set up and you get your temporary residence permit or you get your permanent residence permit, how are you going to move your assets, right? And that's a big thing that one needs to kind of think about right away, because that also takes time and there's no clear kind of path out there. Unfortunately, and this is kind of the reality of things, there are ways through the jungle, but there's nobody that's going to tell you about that publicly. The reason for it that there are providers on the market, but they don't want to get exposed due to potential kind of sanctions down the line and everything else. So the paths are private and they are kind of fiercely guarded. And what is good as well is that, so for example, transactions, big transactions that maybe are done by Gazprom, multi-billion-dollar kind of transactions, they are easy to kind of catch and track in one sense. Private transactions, though, which are very small, they are not really kind of interesting to anybody, and one can do the whole thing with the common infrastructure that is available right now without any issues, as long as you know where to go and how to do it. One thing as well that one actually have to realize, there are still Russian banks that are not part of sanctions list. So there are banks out there in Russia that are available and are connected with the SWIFT system that are still working. Of course, the trick is to know which ones and how they actually work and how to open the bank account there. And that knowledge as well is quite guarded, as you might understand, because once you know those things, you also will know ways to kind of do this whole thing correctly. We would not recommend in any way possible to transfer funds to Russia through crypto. You can do it maybe for living expenses, kind of small stuff. But if you plan to, for example, transfer a large amount of funds to Russia, let's say to buy a car or to buy a house or property, rest assured, after 2 years, you have the Russian tax office knocking on your door and asking, where, dear Mr. Smith, did you get the funds to buy that apartment from? Because there's no record of a transaction of actually you earning those money in Russia, you're having the capital kind of gain in Russia, or those funds ever passing through the central bank. And that will be a very bad situation to be in. We can tell you that for sure.
If this person buy the property by cash, so person like do crypto transaction, that person have cash.
So how did they have cash in Russia from the start? Was it a gift? Did they print the money? I mean, there is no explanation that you can have.
Because I didn't know that we should explain it. So in Russia, you shouldn't explain if you buy something, no? Or now should.
Well, I mean, a property in Russia is subject to actual taxes, right? So there's 0.02% tax. So suddenly, let's say it like this. You are a person to the Russian government that had zero income, absolutely zero income, right? There is no kind of record of you transferring any funds to Russia. You haven't earned anything. You haven't kind of had anything, right? And suddenly, let's say you end up 2 years in, you end up paying property tax on a 40 million ruble apartment. Based on what? I mean, that's going to be the first question that the tax authority is going to ask right away. How did you end up owning a 40 million ruble apartment? And if your answer is going to be, well, I actually transferred it through crypto and bought it. Well, sorry, that's not legal. At least right now, right? Having said that, there are right now pilots ongoing with the Central Bank of Russia. That's in the works. There is about 100, I think, special individuals that are allowed to this pilot. So they are working through a way of actually putting up the infrastructure for using crypto to transfer funds to Russia. It might be available maybe in 1 year, maybe in 2 years' time. It's not available yet. There's works in place, but it's not there yet, right? And we're talking with those people that are in charge of it. And they're saying there's a kind of work in place, but so far the focus is on the business to business transactions. So clearing kind of large trade deals and everything like that. The private clients that wants to transfer, I don't know, even if you say, hey, we want to transfer several $1 million, they say several $1 million, that's peanuts. We don't want to do it. That's, you are in the back on the list, right?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, when it comes to crypto, keep in mind, it's not legal right now, right? I mean,
So for living, okay, but for buying a property, car, something like this.
Let's say officially, we don't recommend it. I mean, you like for living expenses right now, I think the regulators kind of doing like that. They don't really see it, right? It's kind of a gray area, so they don't really care. But for anything that you will pay taxes on down the line, right, or be officially registered that you own that asset, you could be in trouble, and in quite big trouble down the line. So don't do it. You can transfer funds to Russia either in cash, and up to $10,000 you don't need to declare. Over $10,000 you need to declare, but as long as you declare, you can transfer infinite amount of cash into Russia. So
and if not cash, so people can contact your company and you can help with legal money transaction.
we are essentially, what we do, we provide a service where we set up, we call it setup of financial infrastructure for the transfers. And this is kind of what we do. We help people set up the way of how they can transfer the funds either through other third-party banks that they also will be client to, all the way to their bank account in Russia. What is important, of course, is that the ownership of the assets needs to be there all the through. So it's always have to be your own money going through all your own bank accounts. There's no other way to do it from the point of kind of just the legality of financial transaction, right? And that's the infrastructure that we provide. Usually it takes about 2 months to set up, and afterwards you can use it as long as or as much as you like. For small transactions, for big transactions, it's up to you. But all of those things have been working quite well. There's no guarantee they will work going forward as well, because things always change right now. It's a very changing world. And by the way, a lot of our clients actually choose to move their assets to Russia because they are afraid of the capital they're afraid of taxes going up in the West, and they're afraid that their funds will be locked in. So we already seen that UK, United Kingdom, went in with the capital controls. So you can't actually right now move any amount of money out of UK. We see the same thing will be coming down in US as well, and we see it as a trend across the whole Western world. So even if you have money in the West, you'll be locked in. And I mean, our clients are afraid they will be, so to say, taxed to death. That's probably the reality what's going to happen due to the extreme indebtedness and economic hardship that's coming down the line for those governments. But it is as it is, right? We are just kind of conveying what our clients fear, and we are. They say that the only country what they know that will not leave their funds out back to the West is probably going to be Russia or China, but Russia is just easier.
Okay. So yeah, thank you so much for your information, and for everyone, yes, who is going to move to Russia, they can contact you. And guys, so how you can contact, yes, so people can contact you directly, move to Russia, and also in the description, people can find the link, right? Then they can say, and also if you guys contact, so Ilya, do you provide some discount if someone come from my side, if they say that we came from Anna Global Travel? Some special.
Well, I don't think if we're going to kind of provide any discounts, but we will sure treat him as a very valuable customer in one sense or another, right? We
Yeah.
generally are proficient in our services, right? And I think in general, we of course will recommend our clients to utilize your languages courses because they're going to need it, and there's a big demand for learning Russian.
Yes, and guys, if you want to learn Russian, so here also in the description of the video, you can find my website, annaglobaltravel.ru, here on the website, and welcome to learn Russian language with me. So I'm helping with language, yes, and Ilya, his company, help with other things for moving. Yeah. So yeah, it was really nice to know you, and I hope uh, this video was useful for people who is thinking sitting, I don't know, in US, because most of people really think, shall I move? And people right now know the first step. So first step, I think that they can just ask your consultation. Also, we provide maybe some consultations. I didn't ask you.
Well, I mean, the usual how we do it is that when people reach out, we explain to them our general services, and then we have a call where they can ask the questions in general, so they understand a bit, and we can advise them on their specific situation. Once that is done, it's up to them if they want to move ahead or not. If they do, we kind of sign the agreements, and then we have the onboarding call, and then we kind of go forward in that sense. But yeah, we are. If you
Because yes,
kind of take a
now
step
I'm on
back,
the website, yes, so in it, get in touch with us here. Take the first step, ask for more information. Yeah, so people can get this
just
green
kind of
button.
drop a line on our contact us. There is a contact form, and also you can write directly an email to contact at movetorussia.com. We also have account on X, former Twitter, movetorussia.com as well there. We regularly post different updates and takes on the both the news in Russia when it comes to the different rules, and also the general kind of comments on the economy and things, how things are kind of going on in the world. This could be an interesting channel to kind of subscribe to. There's usually sometimes interesting lively discussions on how things are going back and forth. We have many prominent members that are actually subscribing to us. One of our, I think, subscribers is actually the leader, I think, of the Workers' Party in UK, George Galloway. I think he recently was in Russia on the May 9th parade. So we have some interesting kind of friends around the globe that subscribe to our services and talk to us and kind of keep us abreast with things, what's going on. Just a bit of comment, we see right now a big move of people going from US. A lot of them are going to Canada. A lot of them are going to Portugal, to Malta, very popular destination for US citizens. Many are going to the Caribbean islands, right? But we believe that that's kind of not going all the way there. And you have to kind of think about it strategically. You have to think about that. Well, if you really want to diversify, it kind of be in the best place possible for the turbulence ahead. It's going to be a very turbulent 50, 100 years ahead. Well, Russia, the biggest company, sorry, not the company, biggest country in the world, with the most resources out there, 75 trillion in actually energy and other metal and minerals resources. Number one producer when it comes to wheat and grain, number one when it comes to natural resources, and also great when it comes to the traditional values, wonderful culture, very safe. I mean, compared safety in Moscow versus even London or New York, you do not want to kind of ride the subway in New York. That could be a very much a Russian roulette thing, right? You're very safe in the subways in Moscow. All those little things and walkability and stuff like that. There's a lot of upside to Russia. So we recommend at least visit, check it out. If you like it, consider your options, right? Yeah. Make up your own mind.
Yeah, and if you want just for visiting, you can contact me. I
Of
provide
course.
full
No, I
travel
mean, yeah,
support.
yeah.
Yes, and for relocation with Ilya. So Ilya, thank you so much. And guys, you can write in comments your questions. I will send it to Ilya, or Ilya will answer right here on YouTube, or contact Ilya directly to his website, which you can find in the description of the video. Click the link. And Ilya, I hope to see you soon, maybe in future
Of course.
collaborations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Anna, so much for your time and for having me on. Thank you so much.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Пока.
Пока-пока.
Пока.